Hello. Today we're going to be covering a topic that is very close to my reality, and this is impulse control and addictions. These things come in many forms, from merely being addicted to breathing. Good addiction, yeah, I like breathing, which we're going to do a lot of today. To Netflix, to opiates, cigarettes. I mean, even just cell phones. They're a major triggering addiction thing that we have issues with impulses. Pretty much across the board, most of us have some form of impulsiveness and addiction traits. Some of us are more prone than others, and that's okay. At the end of the day, we have to meet ourselves where we're at, give ourselves grace, and really, really work to just accept ourselves. We all have different life experience. Each of us is unique in how we relate to our external environments. Some of us find stopping bad habits with ease. Others of us struggle immensely to do good for ourselves. But eventually, whenever enough corrective, quote, action is made, that starts to sort of sway the other way to where it's a lot easier to do the things that we need to do to be better. It's just in the beginning it can be very challenging, and this isn't something to beat ourselves up about. This is something to accept and just really, really pull into our heart, like, okay, this is a part of me. What can I do to increase my ability to work on the things that I need to work on? A lot of us were gifted bad habits from our families, from just our environments, and these can be hard to give up, or hard, quote, give up. It's not really giving up. Oftentimes we're taking back. We're not giving anything up. Remember that. We can manifest whatever change we want. It will not always seem easy, but with enough time and patience, you will succeed. This is virtually guaranteed. You just have to really give yourself the space to do the things you need to do. That's it. For some of us, it's just sitting down for 20 minutes a day and breathing and just reminding ourselves that we're complete. We already have everything that we need. Nothing external is going to actually fix anything we have going on. It's all in here, contained in this beautiful, beautiful creature. Very, very important aspect of this process is know that not every misstep is bad. Sometimes we may go a while without participating in a certain activity, and then we find ourselves like, bam, right back at it. But then we notice that it's part of the practice, and we bring ourselves back to where we want to be. We don't judge ourselves. We just accept this. All right, a reminder of why I'm trying to not do this, and then move forward. The hardest thing to really give up nowadays is media, or take back, is the time that media takes. But cigarettes feel really trappy. I've smoked for about 20 years of my life. I'm 38 years old. I quit several times, and this last time is the last. I'm not gonna smoke cigarettes again. They steal your vitality. They make you feel very, they don't make you feel good. And every time that I went back to them, it was just like within 3 days, I'm like, why? And then it'd take me over a year to quit again. And the whole time I'm just like mentally like, what are you doing to yourself? Why are you doing this? Then eventually I managed to stop again, usually with the aid of certain meditations or techniques. I read a book once, listened to an audiobook once, used an app once. But now I've given myself this aversion to them. If I smell them, see them, I walk away. I just walk away. I literally deflect. That way it's training my brain to like, no, no, no. And this could work with anything really. I guess TV and phones will be hard to just walk away from if you see them. You'll literally not be able to go into any room ever. But with these other activities, whatever they may be, if you just create a sort of internal deflection, it will make you easier to avoid them once you stop. We're still going to have those moments of craving, or those moments of just like that little monster inside of us being like, yeah, you want this. And we just say, no, I don't want this. You are wrong. But yeah, impulses come in many forms. They could be emotional. They could be addictive. Even learning not to speak everything that comes to mind is a form of temperance. being able to step outside of ourselves, recognizing what is not us, that we are not our minds or our bodies or even our thoughts, so we can remove what does not serve, and the result is a heightened state of personal awareness. This can take time. If you want something to happen overnight, meditation isn't necessarily that answer. Meditation is more the long-term pushing towards a goal and being able to create the neural pathways to accomplish set goals with ease. You may feel the effects in the short term, but to really get the effects, you have to commit to a daily or near daily practice. We're gonna miss days. This is another one of those things. You don't judge yourself, you don't beat yourself up over it, it just happens. A tool that I use is I have a paper calendar, and whenever I was working to develop a daily practice, I would mark on the calendar every time I practice, and then I'd see it later. If it didn't have a mark on it, I was like, oh boy, I gotta get on to practice, and I would do it. And after, 6 months of this, it just became automatic, and if I didn't practice, I would know mentally and feel it in my being. Just my energies would be different. So close your eyes and spend a moment thinking about what is the most triggering thing that you deal with in your life that leads you to act in whatever way you're looking to heal, or whatever you're trying to stop. So just close the eyes down and spend a moment thinking about your triggers and what is the most triggering thing you deal with. If nothing really becomes obvious, or if you have 1,000 things manifesting, that's okay. Sometimes in the beginning, especially if we go to dig into ourselves and figure out what we are doing or what is this thing, our brains will kind of shut off, oh, this is hard. And that's just part of the process, is learning to really look deeper within ourselves. No matter where we are in life, one key ideal to moving into a state that is in alignment with our health is accepting where we are and giving ourselves the grace to have the awareness of it. For me, for quite some time, I identified with the words, I am an addict, I am an addict, I am an addict. And though this may be to a degree true, it is not my entire being. It is not who I am. It is not what I am. It is just a piece of my experience. So learning to separate myself from that idea and simply accept the fact that that is a part of me, but it does not make up the whole me, actually made it really kind of easy to be around things that I don't necessarily want to participate anymore, minus cigarettes. Those are the one I avoid like the plague. And to not identify as that addict person anymore, and just to know that I am doing my best. And you also can do your best, no matter where you're at. So just remember that. So for a time, I'm going to be offering these courses Wednesdays at 1 p.m. I would appreciate if you're following these online videos to throw a donation to keep them going. I am this person trying to spread healing arts to the universe en masse, and I give them away largely for free with no paywall. I could use genuine support though. My path in this has not necessarily been the smoothest or the easiest. I do have some life situations that makes it possible for me to do this, but at the same time, I would really appreciate support. The best way to do this is my Patreon. It has several tiers of support, and you get access to some things, but enough about that. Let's get on to the practice. So empowering the breath is the mode that we're gonna work with today. In an in-person situation or working in a one-on-one, we will do these things a bit longer, but since I can't actually see you, we're gonna do them for a short time. That way, if they're really challenging, you can analyze that, and then later, if you revisit this video, you can just pause and do it for as long as you want, and then unpause and continue. So close your eyes. We're going to go ahead and tune in with 3 ohms. Typically we do the Adi mantra and Mangala Charan, but not today. We'll just do 3 ohms to make it ease. Base of your thumbs, heart center, in. Exhale. Inhale. Beautiful. So what we're going to be working to isolate the parts of the breath, which are 3 major parts. We have the diaphragm, which is this little U-shaped muscle that runs underneath the rib cage, the sternum area. We have the actual rib cage, which is where the lungs live, and there's little muscles in between each rib. These are the intercostal muscles. They expand and they contract, as the diaphragm does. Interestingly enough, whenever you're inhaling, the diaphragm actually relaxes and fills, and when you're exhaling, that's whenever you're engaging it. And then we have the clavicle, or the collarbones. Whenever we are in a stressful state, we tend to just breathe into the very upper region of the chest and into the collarbones. So one thing to do, universally, if you get triggered, if you have anything come up that is challenging you, if you feel out of whack, just put one hand here, close the eyes, take a couple breaths from the lower hand to the upper hand. So just, and a few of these long deep breaths, it starts to shift your mental state. So remember that. Hand, close, breathe. Just breathing will help. But we're not really gonna be doing that today, but that is just a little tidbit. It is extremely valuable in bringing ourselves to a centered space. This helps with us just feeling ourselves and being secure, and then the breath starts to create that internal space. So first of all is bandhas. These are the locks. Bandha means lock. We have Molabandh, which is root lock. In certain practices, you're just isolating certain muscles. The way that we're going to do it today is a simplified version where we're squeezing multiple muscles at once because it's it's just easier to practice. And then we have Uddiyana Bandha, which is diaphragm lock. And then we have Jalandhar Bandha, which is neck lock. So generally in meditation, we have neck lock universally. That is just chin parallel to the floor or a little bit down and feeling the back of the neck extending. If you're someone who does this a lot, it may be challenging. So just check in with yourself, no pressure, do your best. One way you could also do this is sitting up against a wall. This will help you keep your back in alignment. So Molbandh, root lock. It's squeezing up like you're holding in gas and urine, but lightly. And also pulling in at the very bottom point of the belly. So you squeeze rectum first, sex organs, and then navel. So it goes, I guess you can't see it, but I'm doing it. And then we generally do that when we're holding the breath in, and when we hold the breath out, we squeeze rectum, sex organs, navel, and then diaphragm, and that is Molabandh, Uddiyana Bandha. And when we have all 3, we have the Mahabandha, which is the great lock, yes. So let's just spend a moment with that. Inhale, hold the breath, pull root, just squeezing like you're stopping gas and urine. We're not squeezing the butt, we're not squeezing the hips, it's just those internal muscles. Exhale, hold the breath out, pull root, pull in on the diaphragm so the whole belly sucks in. In, exhale. We will be coming back to that, just make a mental note. And also I have a printout for this if you would like a copy of it, holler, and I can potentially get it to you. So we're going to isolate the parts of the breath. First will be the abdominal. You may lay down for this, or you can sit up for this. It's a little bit easier when you lay on your back, but it's not necessary. Just bring one hand over the belly. Close the eyes, breathe normally. Bring your attention to the navel point area. So it's just right underneath the belly button. Take a slow, deep breath, letting your belly relax and expand. We don't move it into the chest at all, and then exhale, letting the belly come back towards the spine. So about 1 minute with this. Keep your chest relaxed. Focus entirely on breathing into the lower abdomen. If you're finding it challenging, you may bring one hand over the chest. Hold the breath, pull your root. Exhale, release. Just be for a moment. Make a mental note if that was hard, something to come back and practice on your own. Anything that we find challenging in this, it's something that we make a note of and we work on it independently. Get that stronger. If it was easy for you, awesome. If it wasn't easy for you, awesome. It's all awesome. So next, we're just going to breathe into the chest. This is something you want to sit up for, so if you are lying back, go ahead and bring yourself up. So breathing into the chest, a lot of the times this is where our breath is. It's just into the higher portions of the chest. If we learn to constantly breathe into the diaphragm, we have a really horrible glare going on with somebody's windshield in my parking lot, so let me scooch over so I'm not blinded. So bring one hand over the diaphragm so you can put the thumb right at the sternum and let that hand wrap around it. The other hand at the top of the chest, if necessary, or just a little bit lower. So close the eyes, sit straight, keep the diaphragm still. You can look down towards the nose if you'd like, as I am. Do not let the abdomen extend. Inhale slow, using just the intercostal muscles of the ribs, so the muscles in between the ribs. Do this slowly and focus on the sensation of expansion and release. Just spending about a minute with each one of these today. Just notice your experience. Diaphragm, chest. Exhale, chest, diaphragm. Just taking note of that experience. Next, we're only going to do it for a few breaths because it's a space where we can find ourselves oftentimes. It is just breathing into the clavicle, breathing into the upper portion of the ribs. So this is where we breathe whenever we are in that fight or flight mode. So we're not going to spend a lot of time here. We just bring one hand or both hands onto the collarbones. Keep keeping the chest and the diaphragm still, and just inhale very lightly, feeling that expanse. Exhale, release it. Just feel the difference. See if it feels familiar. And release. Very beautiful indeed. So ideally, in the perfect breath, oh man, the sun keeps on moving. We will have this full, deep breath continuously. We will be breathing diaphragm, chest, clavicle. You see the shadow on my face? It's blocking the sun. And then release clavicle, chest, diaphragm. One thing that I'll do if I find myself not breathing this way is either this, or I will just close my eyes and visualize that line from navel to throat and throat to navel. So inhale, navel, throat. Exhale, throat, navel. The breath is really the thing that we lean on to find the healing that we need. It is the first step. It is the first thing that we do in life. As soon as we come out, we take a breath and then we scream, "Ma!" And the last thing that we do is release that breath. It is the vital aspect of our existence. So learning to tame it, have control over it, will give us control over the other aspects of our lives. One moment, please. I gotta get rid of this stupid hair. Much better. I'm now not being blinded. I tend to not let things distract me, but boy, the sun, that's distracting. It's got powder. So we're just gonna do one part of this practice today. This will be in parts. I'm gonna keep these videos a little bit shorter. If you want the full immersion, they will be on Zoom. If you want the full, I have a 6-week immersion course that I plan to give to people. If that's something you'd be interested, reach out and we can do it in a one-on-one basis, or we can set up a group to do it. So this is called Breath for Energy. We're gonna be breathing in 4 parts. So from the bottom of the exhale, 4 sniffs. A very subtle pause in between each sniff, so it's like, and what this does is it helps us to feel each one of the muscles controlling the breath, especially first sniff is into the navel, second diaphragm, third chest, fourth clavicle. And then as we exhale, clavicle, chest, diaphragm, navel. So you'll notice how my shoulders raise up a little bit with each one. It's just filling up and lowering down. May not happen like that for you on day 1, that's okay. I will keep a rhythm with the drum. And just notice that space in between. Notice whatever experience you're having. You don't judge it. If your mind starts to wander, just bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. That's the practice. Noticing, bringing it back. Noticing, bringing it back. On my worst days with this, I get distracted about every 10 seconds. On my best days, I may get distracted 3 times in a 20-minute meditation. Just really depends on what's going on in my life. And we live in a distractible culture, and that is okay. I'm grabbing my phone for a timer. Just 4 minutes on this today. Eyes closed. Gyan Mudra. Actually, Anjani Mudra. Yeah. Anjani Mudra is palms together, thumbs at the heart center, which is right in the center of the chest. Just kind of pulling it into the sternum. Eyes closed. I'm not going to be doing that because I'm going to drum. Exhale. To begin. up a bit. Still noticing the space in between. If your nose starts to get tired, do an O mouth. Slow it down for this last bit. Inhale, hold the breath, pull root. It's just a slight pull of the rectum, sex organs, and navel. Sniff a little bit more air in. Exhale, hold the breath out, pull root, pull diaphragm. Inhale, tongue out. Just simply be. Just notice how you feel now. Likely a bit different than you did when you started. Maybe not. It's okay. Just pay attention. Paying attention is one of the only things that's actually free that has the word pay involved. Bring the palms together and rub them. We'll seal with 3 ohms. By the way, your homework, I'm giving you homework, yes, is to practice the isolating the parts of the breath and that breath for energy until you feel you have mastery over it. If before I release the next segment of this, you feel you have mastery over both, drop a comment and that will light a fire for me to make the next step. Base of your thumbs to heart center in, tongue in to tune in. Again, in to begin. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May we feel empowered to do the things we need to do to show up for ourselves and heal these behaviors. Thank you for being here today. Satnam. I have faith that every single being on this planet has the capacity to change the things that they want to. No matter the age, circumstances, none of that really matters. Plays a role, of course, but Even if you feel hopeless, you're not. You can do this. If you need help individually, please reach out to me. I absolutely see this as the most important aspect of the work that I can give back to the world, and I want to engage as much as possible and help people feel better. These practices have helped me immensely, and I know they can you as well. Thank you. Satnam. Namaste. Also, don't forget, please support if you can. Drop a Cash App donation or support me on Patreon. Either way is great. You can find all applicable links at throughbreath.com or in the description. Thank you.